Hey loves, this is SR Graham. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Enjoy. Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Trying to be consistent, trying to create content for you guys so that we can grow as an audience. I'll come up with the name for you guys sooner or later. I feel like as time goes by, we'll figure it out. But in this video, I'm gonna give a brief breakdown of my second novel. I call it Karma, and that is book 2 in the 2 monogamous series. I did a breakdown video of book 1. And in these videos, I'm not going to go into detail about the story, but I am going to give like a brief explanation of the books. So, kind of like promotion to build my audience, to get more people looking at the book. If you want to read the book, to check it out. If you want to know about it before you read it or whatever, this will be the video for you to make that decision. So I'm just going to jump right in. So the inspiration behind book 2 was definitely the events that happened in book 1. I wanted, of course, I had initially planned for this to be a 3-part series. I thought, I would write 3 books and it would be a trilogy and that would be all, but I was wrong. I was dead wrong. I'm 6 books in, and the series is still gonna continue to go on and on until I finish writing a book for each character. And I'm not gonna do novels for each character, but I'll do novellas for some and novels for some. And I'll try to keep it as short as possible because I can get very wordy, as you can see. But the book 2 was inspired by where book 1 left off. So I'm not gonna tell the story for the people who hasn't read it or whatever, but something happens to the main character at the end of the video, and so this event that took place kind of like created a domino effect for a lot of other things to happen. And so, the title of the book is, I call it Karma, because it deals with karma. And karma is being dealt to the twins, Dario and Dustin Vargas. It's being dealt to them. People from their past have popped back up in their lives, and they are entangled into their lives in some type of way. Some of them have sneaky intentions, like they present themselves as being one way when really they are another way. New characters are introduced in book 2. You have Jarrell, Deandra, Deandra, Summer. You have the twins' mom at the end of the book. And who else? Did I put everybody's name down? Because I'll be forgetting. You have Jarrell, Isabel, Deandra, Deborah, Summer, and the twins' mother, Annalise. And the lessons that this book 2 tackles is, so basically, to summarize book 2, it basically picks up where book 1 stops. Something happens to Yara, and the twins, Dario ends up being the one, Dario and Teresa being the one kind of left to deal with the situation. Dustin disappears, so they automatically think that he is the culprit for what happened to Yara. Because he disappears. Nobody hears from him. They don't know where he is. Dario does get a text message from Dustin telling him what happened, but it's not really what happened. Like, Teresa tells him that she doesn't believe that that's what happened, and that she feels like something more dangerous happened, and they need to find Yara before she ends up dead or something else happens to her. So it basically goes through them trying to do whatever they can to figure out what's going on, and Dario calls on his old best friend, which is Jarrell. He's a private investigator. He calls him to help him figure things out. And he also calls on his publicist, Deborah, to help him clean up his image because Quincy, Yara's ex-husband, has a vendetta against them, and like he's putting stuff out in the media about them or whatever. So his publicist comes in to try to keep their name out of stuff and to try to clean up everything or whatever. And also you're introduced to Isabel, which is someone that they used to work for when they were in college. I'm not going to say what they did because I feel like it gives away a lot, but it was somebody that they used to work for in college. Also, Deandra is a girl that Dustin used to have feelings for in college, and she had feelings for him too, but something happened between the two of them that kind of made Dustin the person that he is presently, the person that he became, now in books 1 and 2. And they kind of have to go back and deal with their past to figure out what's going on in their present, basically. So the book is pretty much just them going through the motions, them trying to figure out what happened to Yara, who's responsible, and trying to rectify the situation without me telling a lot of the things. And I call it Karma, tackles revenge, struggles with mental illness. You get to see more of one of the twins struggle with, they were diagnosed with depression and bipolar disorder when they were in college, and you get to see how they struggle with it in book 2. It also normalizes diseases such as like STDs, incurable STDs such as AIDS, HIV, AIDS, things like that. We do discuss rape. I do have a warning at the beginning of it. It does touch on rape. It doesn't go into depth on it in this book, but it does touch on it. Also, karma, love, and codependency. Karma, of course, because the book is titled, I call it Karma. So it touches on the karma of people, basically people who do whatever it takes to become successful. They get successful, and then they enjoy their lives, and then all of a sudden things are happening to them because their past comes back to haunt them, or whatever else happens, things starts happening to them, so they don't have a choice but to deal with their past, the things that they've done to people, and everything like that on their way up. So that is the most important thing in this book, dealing with your karma for the bad things that you've done to people on your way up. And I feel like a lot of like rich people, a lot of successful people, they do a lot of backhanded things a lot of the time to get to where they are, and they don't feel like those things are going to come back to haunt them, but little do you know, it does. It comes back to haunt you in different ways, and there's really nothing you can do about it. But okay, also in this book, the thing that surprises me, and the reason why I always put this question in, or I always answer this, is because I always say that I don't plan out my books before I write them. I just sit at the computer and write, and so I don't really know how the story is going to unfold when I do write them. So the thing that surprises me is always what ends up happening in the story, and how the characters deal with it or whatever. Like, the drama surprises me whenever we find out who is responsible for doing the bad thing or whatever. I'm always surprised at the person that's responsible, even though I'm writing it, because I always say that I'm just a vessel for the characters. They want to tell their story, and I just write it. and I'm always surprised at how things unfold. And I sometimes, like, I have these stories in my head, and sometimes they play out from beginning to end in my head. Sometimes it's like episodes. It's like I'll see one part of it, but then I have to create the whole story still. A lot of the time it doesn't turn out the way that I picture it in my head. Most of the time it doesn't turn out like that. So I would like to think of like my imagination, my things that happen, the stories that happen in my head as blueprints. Don't necessarily mean that I'm gonna follow it or that's how it's gonna happen, but it gives kind of like a guide to what's gonna happen. So yeah, that's always what surprises me, and also how it ends. Like, these books always have like these ridiculous endings, and I'm the writer, so me saying that is hilarious, but like the endings are always ridiculous. It's always something that you don't really see coming or whatever. Like, usually at the end of my books a new character is introduced. I'm trying to think of the end of all of them. Either a new character is introduced or a secret is exposed, something like that. Because in book one, a secret was exposed. It wasn't a new character that was introduced. New character is introduced at the end of book two, though. Which is the twins' mother. Like, I don't feel like that part is a spoiler. Like, but the explanation, I call it karma. The reason why I call it karma is because the twins finally get their karma from the things that they've done in their past to become the successful entrepreneurs, the architects that they are. And I just wanted to play with the idea of karma and the idea of revenge, like people coming back. And because I don't think it happens real often in real life, and maybe it does and I just don't know, but like, people, like, you see somebody successful and you've helped them get there. I don't really see a whole lot of people like going after them, feeling like that's mine, like, you got there because of me, I should be sitting beside you or whatever. And maybe it does happen, but just not on a huge scale. But I just, like, that idea is interesting to me. Like, the lost people, the people that are not talked about, the people that have propelled you to a certain point to become successful, and you kind of forget about them, or something happens where the relationship doesn't work out. That is interesting to me, and that was why I named it that. The title, I call it karma, because I call it karma. Like, this is your karma for doing the things that you've done to people, and you got to deal with it. What can you do? The opinions of the characters. I think in this book, the characters are probably, things are just starting to like get crazy. Like, in book one, things were like a mess. Like, it was a little drama, but it wasn't like crazy. Things are crazy in book two, and I feel like the characters are probably like exhausted. They're tired of their circumstances. Like, Dario having to figure things out without his brother. Like, this is his first time being without Dustin, and having to resolve a problem without Dustin. Dustin is usually the problem solver of the two of them. And Dario is basically losing his mind because he don't have his brother to think for him. He doesn't have his brother to solve things for him. And at the same time, he believes that his brother is responsible for what happened to Yara. And he kind of goes back and forth between it, because like, he doesn't see another enemy, you know what I mean? Like, the other enemy is not visible to him. So the only thing he has to do is to blame Dustin. Teresa is struggling with the fact that she plays a part in what happens to Yara, because she feels like if she didn't introduce Yara to the twins, if she didn't tell Yara to come to Chicago, then Yara would be fine. So she struggles with the guilt of playing a part in what happens to Yara, and she also struggles with her feelings towards Yara, how she really feels about Yara, because Quincy exposes her. I think that's in book one. He exposes her for these feelings that she has never been able to tell Yara because of course they're friends and she was married to Quincy. She deals with her feelings, and she also deals with being diagnosed with a disease that she's ashamed of, honestly, and not really knowing who to open up to. She kind of like is dealing with it by herself until she allows her boyfriend Andreas to take part. And I keep forgetting to mention Andreas, but I feel like he doesn't really play an important role until book 3. But you know, his character definitely develops. And then you have Jarrell, who used to be best friends with the twins. They met when they were 15 years old. Jarrell gave them a place to stay when they didn't have one. So they're like brothers. They're basically like brothers. And, you know, Dario calls on him to help him find Dustin and Yara. And in the midst of that, they kind of get into why they fell out, why they aren't friends anymore. And he pretty much lets Dario know that how he feels about what he did to him in their past. And Dario doesn't really understand like why there's animosity, and I feel like that's because when things happen between them, Jarrell wasn't open about it from the jump. Like he waited years later to like open up to him about how he felt, you know, about what he did to them and what happened in the past or whatever. So, you know, he's being introduced. He's dealing with his feelings about having to see his homeboys successful and not be a part of that success. And like he's pretty much tired of his life, doing the things that he's been doing. He's tired of it, and he wants a way out. And then you have Isabel, who also plays a pivotal role in the everybody's life. If you're being honest, like she was one of the reasons why the twins were able to be successful, because she gave them a job where they were able to make a large amount of money in a short amount of time. And one of them betrays her and she's not over it. So you kind of get to see where they come from and, you know, why they act the way that they act. The people that have influenced them, that shaped them or whatever. You get to see how they deal with that, their past coming back to haunt them, and you know how things play out. Who else am I missing? Summer, she is pretty much innocent at first. Like she gets thrown into the mix kind of without her permission. Like at first it just starts off as her, you know, innocently helping somebody that asks her for their help. She doesn't really care. She just really cares about the attention that she's getting or whatever. Like her role doesn't become bigger until book is it 3 and 4, I think. Like she never becomes a main character, but her character does develop. But I said Summer, and then you have the twins' mom. You don't really get to know much about her in book 2. She just appears, and that's it. But like when I talk about book 3, then I'll talk more about her. Deborah, she is the publicist to the twins. She's known them since they were in college. She's a little older than they are. She's like one of like the top publicists in Chicago. And they're like her top clients because they're really famous, like they're very successful, and they've brought her a lot of business. She deals with the fact that she has feelings for Dario, and he doesn't feel the same way about her basically, and like he comes to her and asks her for help to take care of the situation with Yara, a woman that he's in love with, and she kind of has to deal with the fact that he has replaced her with someone. She never thought that he would fall in love with somebody. She never thought that he would want to settle down or whatever, and so she kind of has to deal with the fact that he's replacing her. Like she was kind of like that, his placeholder. Like, they weren't together, they had sex, they were friends, they hung out and stuff like that whenever Dario wanted somebody stable, but like he isn't in love with her. He just she's a placeholder for him. He just pretty much using her. I think those are all the characters. I feel like the how I feel about the characters. Like, I really love how everyone develops in book 2. I love the roles that everyone is playing. I love the things that are being talked about. I love the problems that everyone has. Um I just like the idea of seeing these characters being put in different situations and kind of seeing how they deal with them, how they choose to go about it, the decisions that they make, the way they feel and stuff like that. I really just enjoy orchestrating everything. Like, it makes me feel like a evil villain. Like, pinky in mouth, hand turned up, maniacal laugh. It kind of makes me feel, like a little evil villain or whatever, orchestrating everything, making, this happen or that happen or whatever. I really enjoy writing for that reason because, I get to create a universe and I get to create people, kind of like a god, if you will. So like I said, I love all of the characters. One of my favorite characters, I would say, he's an antagonist, but Jarrell is one of my favorite characters. I feel like he's very interesting, and I feel like his character develops the most out of everybody. I like him because he's not perfect. He's not looked at as perfect, and he's not perfect. He knows he's not perfect. And I just like his honesty, his straightforwardness, and just like his grit. He's very gritty and rough around the edges, very hood, he lived by his own principles. Like, I really like him. I also like Isabel's character. Like, she's an older woman. She's like the same age as Yara's mother, and like, she's very charming and alluring. She has these beautiful blue eyes, this dark skin. She's very charming, so she like attracts people to her, and like, she has this like power over people. I really like playing around with her and like the things that she says. She's very witty and very shady, and I love it. Like, I just love her whole like character design, her makeup, whatever. Deandra, she's a pretty cool character. I feel like at first in this book she's very docile and obedient and like stiff, but her character also develops a lot. And I really enjoy seeing her character develop. Thinking, who else? Okay, Jarrell's character, I would say, was inspired. I can say he was inspired by like one of my exes, not purposely, but just like some of his traits, like the loyalty, his principles that he lived by, and he feels like everybody should live by his principles, and that's not realistic. Like, I feel like he has some elements of, people around me, but particularly an ex of mine. Not to the point that you getting broken off when things take off, not to that point, but a little bit of characteristics. Jarrell. Who else was inspired by somebody? I don't think none of my characters were directly inspired by somebody or intentionally inspired by people, but I do see pieces of people and pieces of myself in the characters. So I will say that. Predictions. Any predictions I have for book 3? Of course, I already wrote it, so I kind of know what's going to happen. But I'll say this. I feel like the characters, of course, are going to go through many more stages of development or whatever, they're going to evolve a lot more. But I see them in the future becoming like a group of people. Like, yeah, they are flawed, they have their faults, they've fallen out with each other, they've done things to hurt each other, terrible things to each other. But I feel like at the end of this series, they're going to lean on each other a lot more. Even the enemies, like, I kind of feel like they're all going to come to terms that, you know, we've all done bad things. Forgive each other. I feel like they're going to lean on each other a lot more. Because, like I said, there's a lot of codependency in this book. Like, they act like they can't live without each other and stuff like that. But I feel like Yara, with Yara's influence, a lot of them are gonna change, and a lot of them are going to get along. They're gonna start getting along, because I feel like she has that effect on everybody, that kind of like healing quality, and the ability to bring people together. So yeah, I see them becoming a dysfunctional but functional group of people that lean on each other. And to summarize the entire book, I did write some notes. To summarize the entire book, basically, I call it Karma Continues Where Two Monogamous Ends. The twins are revealed, of course. I already said that in the first video. They're revealed. You find out that there are twins. I ain't gonna say what they're doing or whatever, or how you find out, but they're revealed. Quincy decides that he wants to fight for Yara. New characters are in the mix: Jarrell, Isabel, Deandra, Deborah, Summer, and then you meet Annalise at the end. People from the twins' past, which are the new characters, wants revenge, so they take Yara from the twins, which is another thing that I revealed. Dustin is MIA, so everyone thinks he took her. Dario's life is in shambles because he can't live without Yara and his brother. Before Yara disappears, Dario gets an opportunity to actually spend time with her outside of, you know, having sex with her or whatever, and he realizes that he's in love with her. And as soon as he realizes that he's in love, she disappears. So he is in shambles. Like, he doesn't know what to do. Like, he falls in love with this woman, and this is his first time falling in love with anybody. He's a grown man, but this is his first time opening his heart up and falling in love with anybody. So, like, he is going through it without her and without his brother. He doesn't really know how to cope with the fact that they're not around. And I feel like Dario learns a big lesson in this book, because you depend on these people so much. If you're going to depend on people, at least be a good person to them. You know, I feel like he is humbled in book 2. He learns that his actions have real consequences and they really affect people. And if you want people to be okay with you, you want people to stay around, then you need to treat them accordingly. So he gets that lesson in this book. Teresa deals with her illness, which I talked about earlier, and the fact that she's a little bit responsible for Yara. Dustin turns up in the book later on in the book. He is found by Deandra, a new character. I'm not gonna say when and where and why and how and all of that. She helps him out. She helps him out to get out of his situation. You know, they go through the whole thing. I think that's pretty much like the last thing what happened. Like, Dustin being free of his situation, finding out what has been going on, and going to get answers, basically. Also, Deandra reveals a secret to him. Something that happened in college that changed his life forever. She finally reveals that she lied about it. You'll have to see what it is. And it kind of sends him over the edge. Yeah. Of course, Jarrell and Isabel they like they feel slighted. They're in it for revenge. Like they want to make the twins pay for what they've done to them or whatever. Um, so the situation plays out. Yara disappears. They try to figure out where she is. Dustin also is MIA, so at first they think that them two are together, and then they have to figure out what's happening, what's going on. Dario turns to his friend Jarrell and his publicist Deborah for help. They help him, and things end with Dustin coming face to face with someone that he hasn't seen since he was a kid, and this sends the story in another direction. So like I said, my stories always end with something like that you never would think would happen. Excuse me. But it is with Dustin, like, coming to terms with things. And, like, Dustin goes on a different journey from Dario. And I feel like they needed to go on different journeys because they needed to learn different lessons to become the people that they end up becoming. I'm not going to say if who they become is good or bad. I'm just going to say they end up becoming who they become. But, the book is also about that too, the journey, like them splitting up and one going on a completely different journey than the other one. And when they meet up again, those journeys help them to see each other in a different light. So this book also kind of like separates the twins so they can come together in a better way. You know what I mean? Like, because their relationship is very toxic. It's very, like I said, codependent, it's toxic, and they need help. So, the different journeys that they go on does help them to get it together when it comes to their own relationships and when it comes to their individual selves. Because imagine being twins and always being compared to one another, always feeling like you don't have your own identity and you're not an individual. Dustin struggled with that all of his life. Dario, not so much. He didn't really care about the fact that he had to share everything with his brother. So like that's why they needed to go on a different journey. Dustin, it really bothered him. Like he really wanted to be an individual, be looked at as an individual, but he wasn't. And it kind of drives them apart because Dustin feels like since everybody is going to look at us as the same person, I want to be in control of everything so I can make sure that I have a good reputation. So he really, in the beginning, tries to control Dario. He's kind of like the parent in a relationship. Dario is kind of like the child. But that's because Dustin always wanted to be in control so he could be in control of their reputation. And I get it. I couldn't imagine having to share like with somebody from, like, I have siblings or whatever, but like I feel like twins are on a different level when it comes to what they share, and I couldn't imagine like trying to escape the twin, because they're two people but we treat them like they're one person. Trying to escape that, trying to become your own person, I can only imagine. So like he definitely needed to go on this journey. And in book 3 is which I'll go over later, and then maybe later in a couple of more months I will go into deeper detail about the books, and I will actually talk about it. Like I won't hide it. There will be spoilers. I won't hide anything or whatever, because book 1 has been out for 3 years, book 2 has been out for 2 years, book 3 has only been out for a couple of months. But I feel like the other 2 books I'm gonna give a little bit more time for people to kind of catch up, and because I do have like a little group that's still reading or whatever, so I'm gonna give people a little bit more time to catch up. And once they finally do, well, I ain't gonna say once they do that, but like after a couple of months, I definitely am going to make another video on both books and go into detail about what happened and talk about some of the things. Maybe I can even do a live a live video where I'm talking to my audience or whatever. That would be dope. You know, getting questions from y'all so y'all can ask me things about it, whatever you want to know. I'm definitely going to do that. But you know, in these videos, I just wanted to kind of like do a little breakdown, give kind of like a summary of what happened, like my mindset, my process. I'll probably go a little more detail in my writing process and stuff like that later on. Like I'll make videos like that later on. But you know, right now I just wanted to make those two videos to kind of like, you know, give you a little summary, you know, try to promote it a little bit, give you a little rundown so you have any information you need to check the book out. Like, if you want to read Too Monogamous or I Call It Karma, they're on sale on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And I will put everything in the description because I also have a website with the links and stuff like that, so you can order the books. And I have a few copies of my books to sign. However, I've sold out of book 1 and book 3. I only have a few copies of book 2. I also have a sub series that I created, which is just short stories, which is the sex scenes from Two Monogamous Two Monogamous and I Call It Karma. I have that, and I also have a book of poems, a poetry collection. But you can find all of this stuff on my website. I'll put it down in the description. Like I said, thank you for watching this video. I hope that you got enough information for you to decide if you want to read the book or not. If you have any questions, though, leave them down in the comment and I'll answer them as best as I could. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Tell me what you think about the book if you have read it. And don't forget, if you have read any of my books, to go and review them on Amazon and Goodreads. And you can leave a little review in the comments so I can see what you think about it or whatever. But thank you for watching my video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Before you go, check out my website at srgrahamwrites.org. Scroll to the very bottom of the webpage to subscribe to my mailing list to get news and updates from me. Also, check out my latest novel, Drown the Lovers. It is book 3 in the Two Monogamous series. You can purchase it from Amazon and Barnes and Noble. Thank you.